why the topic today is how to be highly effective, and I'm focusing on understanding the roadmap. So we are blasting off now immediately, so we're not wasting time because today is a special day. So understanding the roadmap. So the key thing is that whatever impedes action advances the action. Whatever stands in the way becomes the way. I repeat, whatever stands in the way becomes the way. So the bondage, the difficulties we face in life does not give us excuse. We have no excuse in this life. We don't have excuses because we've been shown, we've been shown the roadmap, because the roadmap is very, very important. See, there are two ways there I want you to understand. One is understanding. Then the second one is the roadmap. So understanding is very, very important because the problem we have is that we don't have understanding. Yes, we have knowledge, but do we understand what the knowledge is all about? Because if we don't understand knowledge, there is no way we can apply it. Then if we want to apply it, we apply it in a wrong fashion. We apply it wrongly. So the key thing today I'm illustrating is understanding. Understanding something helps you, because what you don't understand, you abuse. The reason we make a lot of mistakes and we malfunction is that because we lack understanding. We abuse things because we don't understand them. So understanding is the key. So because without understanding, you cannot, assume the full potential. The key thing is assuming the full potential. It's not half potential, full potential. Because that is what life is all about. That is why we have roadmaps. Roadmap is like if you are making a journey. When you hear roadmap, the first thing that strikes you is a journey. If you are making a journey, we normally have roadmap, whereas a map we look onto. There's a map we already have. It's just like a plan. A builder, always have a plan. The architects, they have a plan. Construction workers, they have a plan. So it's like a person going for a journey. You are traveling. You need a roadmap. That roadmap tells you your landing positions. It tells you, the landmarks in life. So it tells you where to stop, where to, navigate your way, where to wait. All these things we have roadmaps. So until you understand these roadmaps, you can apply it. So that's why understanding is very, very important, because understanding is the key. Because if you understand something, you are no longer going to be taught again. You are not subject to manipulation. You will assume your full potential. You will have what you call the joy, the happiness. And then you have the boldness and the courage to make things happen. Because if you don't have the understanding, you can't have the boldness. And if you can't have the boldness or the courage, you cannot make it. You can't assume full potentials. So, you see, I like what we said about what Christ came for. Christ came clearly to demonstrate us the way to, take over our full potential, the way to, assume our full potential in the world. Because our excuses are always, look, we are born in bondage. But here is a young man, he was born in bondage, but he assumed his full potentials. He didn't allow the bondage that he was born into hold him to ransom. He didn't. So we should not allow our obstacles, our challenges to hold us to ransom. So if you understand what I'm talking about, the roadmap, if you are moving now, you get certain places you have to stop. Maybe you see the church. Maybe you see a building. Maybe you see a tree. Maybe you see a water. Maybe you see a stone. Maybe you see a mountain. These things are roadmaps. So, but your interpretation of this roadmap tells you whether you can make this journey. Because if you avoid the roadmap, if you try to avoid it, you don't understand it, you go astray. So that's why the roadmaps are very, very important. The roadmap tells you, gives you the landmarks, where, strategic positions and the strategic things to think about. So one of the roadmaps, you see a rock. The rock is the roadmap. Even if you are navigating your way in an ocean, you will see a big boulder, a road, a kind of rock inside the ocean. The question is, what does that signify? What does it tell you? It has something it's communicating. So if you don't understand what it's communicating, you get it wrong. And that is why we're getting this wrong. Because we don't understand the roadmaps along our journey. Sometimes we think those roadmaps are impediments. Sometimes we think that these roadmaps are something that hampers our advancement. Like I said, the impediment to action advances it. So what you call impediment, bondage, advances it. That is why you need to have the boldness and the courage to live your full life, in order to live your full potentials. Because we are not created here to be rude. I'm sorry. If somebody is ruling over you, that is wrong. You cannot rule over what you didn't create. No human being created another human being. And therefore, you shouldn't allow any human being to rule over you. I have a wife, I'm married. I don't rule over her. I cannot, and I don't rule over her because I never created her. So ruling over somebody is evil and satanic. You cannot rule over another human being. Whether it's your wife, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a classmate, whether it's anybody, whether it's people that you are supposed to lead, you cannot rule over them. Because ruling over something signifies that you are the creator. You have never created any human being. And why should you rule over anybody? Because the problem we have in this world is that we misunderstand what leadership is from what rulership is. What the world shows rulers, what we call presidents, the people that are controlling us, these are rulers. They are absolutely controlling us. They are preventing us from assuming the full potentials. Look at the tree. The tree tells you that, look, despite the bondage, you should assume the full potentials. And one of the roadmap is the tree. I don't see anybody who hasn't seen a tree in his life. I'm talking to you now. Haven't you seen a tree in your life? What does it tell you? It's a roadmap. It's a landmark. That landmark tells you something. So when you are navigating your way, you see a landmark, you should ask, something strikes you. What does this tell you? What is it telling me? What is it talking about? So, but if you ignore these things, you get mixed up. For instance, you see the church, you see the like I said, the tree. What does it tell you? It's a landmark in your journey of life. You see the stars. You see the day and night. These are landmarks. Landmarks are along your way. You see the sun. The sun is shining now. These are landmarks. These are things that you need to, breast down and say, why is the sun shining every day? I've been alive for close to 40 years, or 60 years, 100 years. Why is this sun shining? What is it telling me? I see a tree along my way. What is this tree telling me? I see a seed along the way. What is it telling me? I see a rock around the way. What is it telling me? I'm navigating my way in an ocean. I see a big mountain inside the ocean. What is it telling me? So, but if you don't understand these roadmaps, you don't understand this, the landmarks, it becomes very difficult for you to navigate your way. And that is why people, they crash their life, because they don't understand. So you should not, in any situation, in any condition, allow yourself to be ruled over. It is evil. You yourself cannot rule over anybody. We are not meant to be ruled over. And that is why there is harassment. That is why, people are abusing other people. People are suppressing other people. People are violent against other people. So it is this kind of thing. You are putting people in prison, putting them in a mental prison. These things are what we are saying that you should not be ruling over. See, the world, why we see people in this way harassing, abusing other people, is what the world is telling us about rulership. Rulership is forcing people and controlling people, manipulating people to do things. And that is why you see somebody, once you are being manipulated, you see how you feel. You see how unhappy you become when you understand it. So the key thing is this. For instance, God has never been rude before and will never be rude. God has never been rude before and he will not be rude. God has never been abused or a kind of emasculated before. He cannot. So the same way you are, God has never been depressed before, and you shouldn't be depressed. So all these things are qualities of God which God has given to you as his own children, but we don't seem to understand it. So abusing other people, is very, very dangerous. Ruling over other people is evil. So you cannot rule over anybody. I go to my country, they say, oh, these are rulers ruling over the people. How can you rule over a human being? You can't rule over a human being because you are abusing them, you are harassing them, you are controlling them, you are not allowing them to live their life. So that is why we have to understand this very thing. There is a difference between rulership and leadership. But what we're seeing is rulership, whereby you are being beaten to obey. You are being harassed. You are being forced into doing something that you're not supposed to do. So these things, if you've been abused before, you will understand what I'm saying. So that's why I am saying to them that understanding the roadmap is very, very important, because if you don't understand the roadmap, you can't navigate your way. If you don't, understanding is the key thing now. Because if you don't understand something, there's no way we can apply it. We have knowledge, we have information, but do we apply it? No. Do we sit down and internalize and see where we're heading to? Sometimes we're heading to the ocean. Sometimes we're heading, to the pit. But we kept on going. So because we don't understand these things. Because we don't understand that we are supposed to, live our life in full potential. We're supposed to, live our life in a full way. That's why they said that you must give people full justice. So why is everybody saying, oh, demonstration and people are, taking over their right? Why are people taking on their rights over people? Because the oppressors, don't understand the oppressed. The oppressor is ruling over somebody, and the oppressed is assuming that he's a slave, and therefore need to be oppressed. So these two things, this is where the problem lies. That is why you see people in, let's say for instance, especially in Nigeria, whereby you see people forcing people, beating people, murdering people, forcing them into a particular way. You shouldn't force anybody. You shouldn't oppress anybody. Because like I said, God has never been oppressed before. God has never been ruled over before. The same way you shouldn't be ruled over. And you shouldn't be oppressed. God doesn't oppress us. God doesn't rule over us. He is saying we are his children. He's talking to us every day. If he's talking to you, you refuse, he leaves you. The Holy Spirit is always talking to us. So understanding the landmarks are very, very important. Because if you don't understand the landmarks, you engage in oppressing other people. You engage in oppressing yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you don't understand what relationship means, you will not know that you are oppressing yourself. You are abusing yourself. If you are abusing your wife, you are abusing yourself. If you are oppressing your wife, because you share the same spirit with her, you have been engaged with her. You've been involved with her. You've been committed, a lifetime commitment, and you're oppressing. That means half of you is gone. That's why we saw what happened last time, whereby a pastor, took off and shot her wife because the pastor failed to understand that he wasn't supposed to rule over his wife. He thought his wife was his possession, and therefore he had to rule over her. But that is completely wrong. You can't rule over anybody. You can't oppress people. God has created us with the same image, the same thing he made himself, and said, have dominion, have freedom like me. Have it in a full way, assume it in a full potential. And yet, we refuse to walk the walk. We refuse to, walk the walk of faith. So the thing is that if you don't understand this, you keep us oppressing. You oppress your children, you oppress your wife, you oppress everybody. You oppress even the citizens of your own country. Like what we're seeing in Nigeria today. Because the leaders there are rulers, they are oppressing their people. They are harassing them, forcing them into one tunnel. If they don't like you, beat them there and push them there and squeeze them like sardine, and then that is it. That is what we're seeing. And that is obviously wrong. So that is the popular thing we see in the country today. Because people have decided, to take things in a wrong way because they don't understand. So I'm here to highlight, I'm here to tell you, look, you have to assume full potentials. You have to tap into your potential. Not tap on 50, you must tap 100%. So if you are not doing that, you are not making a difference. And there's no way you can do that if you're passive. There's no way you can do that if you're timid. There's no way you can do that if you're afraid. Then there's no way you can do that if you're seeking for acceptance. Because you cannot assume your full potential. Because you cannot be yourself. That is why God has given us 100% freedom. So that we can tap into the potentials we have. So that we can use it. Look at the trees. The trees, they tap into their full potentials. They don't tap into 20%, 30%, full potentials. And here we are, human beings, people are fighting for their right. I see people in America and in Africa will say, give us our right. Demonstrating. For goodness sake, why would you hold somebody's right? Why would you hold somebody's, the justice? Hold a justice, from somebody. So why can't you serve justice? Why can't you release justice like a waterfall? It doesn't belong to you. So why would a human being be a subject? Why will a human being be ruled over? I've never seen a human being that created another human being. So why are you forcing them? Why are you telling them you have to rule over them? You use the military, you use the arms, you use everything to make sure you put them into a forced labor and into a slavery. So they become your slaves. But you don't know you're bruising your soul and you're bruising yourself. This is why we don't understand things. We don't understand the landmarks. Neither do we understand the roadmaps. These things are there to teach us what to do. Like if I'm making a journey, just give me the map. With the roadmap, I should be able to trace my way. So God has left us a roadmap so that we can trace our way. So why are you looking for God again? You have the roadmap on your palm. As I'm making my way into a journey, I do see the landmarks. As I'm seeing the landmarks, I'm relating it to where I'm going. I'm relating to the information already I have. Then I make my way. So the same way in this world, we are not supposed to be taught. We are not supposed to be ruled over. There are roadmaps. There are landmarks that should tell us what to do. We are not like chicken. Neither we are like goats. We are full-fledged God. God left the same spirit he possessed. And that is why if you abuse somebody, that person you abuse will forever feel unhappy. Because the morality in the person will not allow the person to accept that. And then your mind will be pricking you till you die because you are oppressor. You will never be happy because a soul should not oppress another soul. And that is what we're seeing today. You possess the whole power and you say, for 250 years, you've never allowed the black Americans to have their own freedom. You never allowed them to exercise their right. You never allow them to have the justice God has given to them. And then you are waiting for them every day to be walking on the street, begging. For what? Are you their creator? We should never, in any circumstance, allow ourselves to be ruled over. It cannot happen. That is why we have to have the boldness and the courage to move forward. Because if we are not bold, people will rule over us. If we are not courageous, people will rule over us. And they say it's leadership, but that is not leadership. That is the opposite. So it is very, 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 very important we understand our mission here. Our mission here is that we should have our freedom, full-fledged one. We should have it in full. It's not half. It's not like, oh, you give somebody half and say, and take the other half and sell it. You're making the person like a baby. A baby or a child is someone who has everything, but you hold it for a short time. Maybe when he's 18 years, then you can give it to him. We're not babies. Neither is your wife or anybody a baby. You hold them for almost how many centuries? Every human being should never be ruled over. Every human being should never be harassed. Every human being should never be oppressed. Because God has demonstrated it to us that he was never oppressed. Nobody has ever oppressed God. Nobody has ever ruled over God. That is why God gave us the same spirit that we shouldn't rule over any other person. What are we seeing today? So if we don't understand this, we play second fiddle. If we understand this, we shrink. Like 99% of us, we are shrinking because we don't understand our mission. We don't understand the mission statement. Because once you understand the mission statement, you know your purpose, you will not shrink. You become bold. You become courageous. Because without it, you cannot fly to your full potential. You'll be just, grappling. Like grubbing in the darkness. You'll just be struggling, I wish I could survive today. If I can I'm looking at least have money to eat today so that, forget about tomorrow. I don't have, if I can eat, we are always in survival stage. When you are supposed not to be, you're supposed to be living full potential. It's not survival. You shouldn't be eating from the crumb. You made a bread and you're eating from the crumb. What a stupid thing. You made a bread and you're eating the crumb. So what they are giving us is crumb. Let's rule over them. We'll be flying in a jet and then they will be surviving, begging us. Something that belongs to them, you hijack it because you are stupid. You think that you are a leader. You are only a ruler. You are abusing your people. Because the person that is abusing does not understand that he's not supposed to do that. The person that is harassing does not understand that you shouldn't harass. Harassing somebody is evil. Abusing somebody is evil. Oppressing somebody is satanic. Even the pastors are oppressing their congregations. They are oppressing them because the pastor will be moving on a private jet. Meanwhile, the people who are contributing the money don't have somewhere. They couldn't even afford bicycle. They contribute, and then you build a university, but their children cannot attend there. That is a form of oppression. The pastors are also like rulers. They are oppressing their people. They don't eat the same place they eat. If they are sick, they fly themselves to maybe America or London or America or whatever. They can't go to the same hospital. That is evidence of you are being oppressed. The pastors are oppressors, but they don't know. They keep on preaching to you. They are living in mansion, but they are living in shacks and in a swamp. They live in a clean place. They are living in a swamp. And then you say it's normal. It's not normal. You are oppressing them. Every day you are preaching to them. But you don't understand what it means to be an oppressor. They think it is only presidents and leaders of the country that the rulers of the country that is oppressed. You are also an oppressor. Because you are subjecting to these people into eating crumbs. You are exploiting them. You are harassing them. You're always controlling them, forcing them, manipulating them so that they become poor, so that you use their resources. And you don't pay them enough. So people don't understand this. How will I go to a church that is oppressing me? How will I accept a pastor that I'm feeding? He's moving on a private jet, has the whole money in the world, and then I'm begging, eating from the crumb. You are being oppressed. You are being harassed. So that is the thing. So anybody who has a spirit of oppression, spirit to oppress his own people, is an evil person. If you have a spirit to rule over people, you are evil. You are not a good person. God has given every human being power and freedom. Let them have dominion. Just as I have dominion, let them have dominion. So that they can fly at their full potential. So that they can grow and be fruitful. So that they can grow and have multiples of plenty of fruits and multiplicity of it. It's not by grumbling, begging, trying to survive, squeezing yourself every day. Because somewhere, somehow, somebody has been oppressing you, but you don't understand. Somehow, you've been manipulated to give out all your resources and all your time without something coming back. And you live in poverty and penury, and you are dying. So we need to wake up. It's a wake-up call. We are created, to dominate. We are created to have influence. We are created to grow. We are created to innovate. We are created to take risks. Because if you don't take risks, there's no way you can innovate. There's no way you can grow. That is why God sent Jesus Christ to tell us how to, grow from, bondage to become a full-fledged human being. We are not full-fledged human beings because we are allowing our circumstances to rule us. We are allowing the bondage on our way to stop us from attempting, to stop us from, taking risks, to stop us from innovating. So we are practically living in prison. We are allowing the prison to hold us to ransom. We should not allow our situation to control us. We shouldn't allow our challenges to control us. Because you are born in a swamp, in a shack, or in a swampy area, does not mean they have a swampy mind. Look at the trees. They are in bondage. Still, they live full potentials. Look at the birds. The birds, even though they face gravity, they're still living their full potential, flying effortlessly. The same thing applies to us. So whatever impedes us advances us. What stands in our way becomes the way. So don't pray for your obstacles to go. Use your obstacles and climb the ladder. The challenges there, you should climb over it. If there is a glass ceiling, scatter it and still blast your way all the way off. Whoever is telling you that you are born to eat a crumb, you are born to survive, is telling you lies. Because that person is practically ruling over you. So you cannot rule over your household. You cannot oppress your household. You cannot oppress your children. You cannot oppress anybody at all. Because you never created them. It is only something you created you can oppress. You didn't create your wife. You didn't create your children. And then why are you oppressing them? Why are you abusing them? Why are you treating them in that way? Why are you emasculating them? Why are you taking away their freedom? Why are you taking away their rights? And then you give it to the dogs. You can kiss a dog, but you can't kiss your fellow human being. The kiss that was meant for another human being, you give it to the dog. And that is what we're seeing. And that is wickedness. Food that was meant for a human being, you gave it to the dogs. Is it not stupidity? So we are not meant to, shrink. We are meant to shine like the light. Light is another landmark. You see the sun is shining. That's why I determined my name. My name is Anyanwu. I believe I'm the sun. So I have to have light in my life. So sun is a landmark in my life. So when I look at it, I feel free. I see how it controls. I see how it clears the darkness. So I'm beginning to wind down. So what I'm saying today is understanding the roadmap. Because understanding is the key. What you don't understand, you will abuse. You abuse your wife because you don't understand who your wife is. You don't realize that your wife is yourself. You abuse your children, you don't understand them because you don't know that your children are the same image with you. They have the same spirit with you. You abuse them. Morally, if you abuse them, you abuse their own soul. So, and we should never allow our bondage to hold us to ransom. We should never allow, our challenges to rule over us. We should never allow our criticism or critics, like now most people might be criticizing me, but I'm not allowing them to stop me from making video. I normally get a lot of cynics and people who are sending me something to stop the video, but I'm not allowing them. The same way you should not allow your challenge, your obstacles to rule over you. Because you already have received light. So I'm going to read out some of the things. There's something here I like to read that Bertrand Russell said. Bertrand Russell said that a chicken that expects to be fed every day assume that it will continue to be fed every day. It starts to believe firmly that that humans are kind. Nothing in the chicken's life points to the fact that one day it will be slaughtered. So you got to be very, very careful. If people are feeding you every day, be very, very careful. They are thinking you're a chicken. I repeat, a chicken that expects to be fed every day assumes that it will continue to be fed every day. It starts to firmly believe that humans are kind. Humans are not kind because they lack the Spirit of God. Nothing in the chicken's life points to the fact that one day it will be slaughtered. So, when people are giving you something, you have to be very cautious. Because you assume they are kind. They're not kind. Because they lack the Spirit of God. To God believes that every human being is dead. And these are people you are trusting. Unless somebody shows the Spirit of God inside of him, don't trust him. And that is why most of us are going astray. Because we don't allow the Spirit of God inside of us to rule over us. We all understand, we don't allow the Spirit of God to lead us. So, finally, the impediments to action advances it. Don't allow your bondage, your challenges, the criticisms you receive, or people who don't like you to stop you from whatever you're doing. You got to be bold, because if you are not bold and courageous, you can't assume your full potentials. What stands in the way becomes the way. So don't run away from obstacles. Face it head on. Thank you.